right, Bubba, here we are. Quasar Markets Live. The market's selling off. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Bubba, we've been talking about this for a while now. The president said we're just going to win so much. We're going to be sick of winning. Are you sick of winning yet? Come on, man.
If you're in the upper 5%, 10%, yeah, you're winning like crazy. But unfortunately, the majority of the population is not winning. It is getting uglier. We are getting closer to stagflation. Again, it's a very, very rough economy that we have for the general population. Things are not good. This is a very, very tough situation. And of course, I think we talked about this Tuesday, but the markets are at 306% of the M2 money supply, which is the highest they've ever been. The last thing closest was the internet bubble. So again, I expect a pretty big sell-off. I mean, I don't say it's coming tomorrow. I don't say it's coming now. In fact, I probably expect the bounce off of pretty oversold conditions right now.
Yeah, and Bitcoin, 65,000 a few minutes ago. Is this deleveraging? I mean, I got several phone calls. I got one from Michael Litt not too long ago saying, hey, this is deleveraging. This is blowing out all those kids and people. And it's also this sell America. It's Iran. It's geopolitical. What do you say to the people that are scared? Their portfolios, they're nervous. I had one guy call me today earlier saying, hey, this is just too much. I can't handle all this. I should have listened. What do you say to them now that they're now sitting in this situation?
Well, I think that this is very common in the investing and trading world. You have a lot of panic when things start to go against you. Many people are too leveraged, as you mentioned. And of course, look at the precious metals, look at Bitcoin, look at all the risk assets. They're getting pounded. They're getting hammered. Why? Because people were too leveraged. It was so much fun on the way up, and they were making so much money, but what they forgot to do was what you do all the time is take the profit and look for another entry. And I think you're probably close to another entry here in Bitcoin, but you cannot, I mean, if you're investing in the stock market, you can sit as long as you have good companies. You don't have to worry about it. They're going to go up 8.5% year over year. That's all. But when you start getting into, gold, silver, Bitcoin, you get these giant moves. You got to take some money off the table. You can't sit there and say, well, it's never going down. I mean, I'll never forget. Do you remember the stock Rambus?
Yeah, of course. Rambus memory.
Well, Rambus back in the day during the internet bubble went to over 400. And I had a guy who bought it, who owned it like from $5. I said, you can take some off the table? He said, no, it's going higher. Well, of course, it went to zero, basically. Yeah. But that is the mentality of investors. They don't get it. Take some money. Put it in your pocket. It's not, you have to realize the gains. And if you don't do that, then you're just kidding yourself, because it's always going to happen. We get these gigantic moves, give you a lot of opportunity. Now they're too afraid to get back in because they're stuck.
You beat me to the punch there, Bubba. I was going to ask you, what is it, on my Amazon account, if I want something, but I don't always want it just yet, I'll wait till it goes on sale. I'll put it in my wish list. I'll put it on my list to buy. But I'll just wait until it comes out. Oh, you know what? I don't really need that right now. I'll get this instead. Why is that easier to when I go to the store and wait till a sale when things are on sale now? Why is it harder for people to buy then?
Because the people because the sale we're having now has been created by those who are panicking out and didn't use their diligence to take some money off the table. I mean, I'm looking to buy Bitcoin right now. I'm looking, listen, you and I are both short silver. I'm looking for a little bit farther sell pullback because I want to be a buyer of silver overall. So, But you have to stay liquid, Big B. You got to be in a position to say, I'm happy with the profit. Your biggest problem in your trading or investing life should be, I didn't make enough. Okay. But you got to take money off the table.
When you look back and you've done this for over 40 years, I'm at 35 this year. And the one thing that's always a constant, Bubba, is greed. It has been around since the beginning of time. But is greed higher now? Is greed higher now than it's been in the past?
I don't think it's higher. I think the numbers are just so much bigger. Again, we got to go back. When you go back to when you first started, or when I first started, the Dow Jones was 800, the S&P 500 was $1.55, 155. Okay, look at the numbers now. The numbers are so much bigger, but what people don't seem to recognize or realize is, yeah, the NASDAQ is down 258 points right now. How much is that? It's 1%. Okay. It's not 20%. It's not the crash of 87 when the markets were down 22%. It's 1%. The Dow Jones is not down not even down 1%. So again, you have to think of this in percentage terms. It's the same numbers, and you have to be prepared for the risk. And again, I go back to the beating the drum. You got to realize some profits sometimes, or at least know how to hedge to protect the level that you want to be out at.
Yeah, I mean, I remember during .com waking up and sitting in my big old chair down 500 and going, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Today it's called a Thursday, right? But it doesn't feel different. It feels that this time around, and of course we always say this time will be different, right? Is that there's more geopolitical issues. It feels like the world's a little more chaotic than it was in the past. Is this manufactured chaos, or is this actual chaos going on?
Well, I don't think it's ever different. So that's the first thing. The markets are never different. Okay. They trade. This is not totally unexpected. And if they go down a lot farther over the next 6 months, it would not be unexpected.
Right.
I think the geopolitical, I don't think there's more, but I think it's like everything else. The news flow, the information is so much more available than it was. Listen, when I was on the trading floor, we had to go down to the bank of phones to make a phone call. We didn't have a phone. Okay. I didn't have a computer in my pocket. Okay. I had a beeper. If somebody came to visit me, they couldn't call me. I had a beeper so I could go get them.
Those days, yeah.
So this is, we literally stood, we had 50 traders in one office. Now we were all going to the floor, but we all had an office to go to. When news would come out, we had 50 traders looking at one 12-inch LED screen, okay, right, trying to read the little headline. Think about that. So now it seems like there's more, but I don't think there's any more than there ever was. I think it's just out there and it makes headlines. And of course, our president likes to promote more information with his True Social and all the tweets and everything else. So you hear a lot more of it, but I don't think people overall more panic. I think they still panic under the same reasons. They start to lose money. They're over leveraged and they can't figure out how they're going to get out. And of course, they hit the panic button and puke them out. There they go.
Yeah, they puke them out. That's the old adage. It seems like there are more ships now. As I always say, it's the Fifth Fleet, wherever the Fifth Fleet is, the Fifth Fleet diplomacy. Iran. Are we going to go to war with Iran?
I don't. I hope not, but there's probably a fairly high probability because Iran, the people there have no regard for life whatsoever. I don't think they're going to give in, and I think that of course there is a lot of problem over there. I hope not, but it would not surprise me. I guess if you wanted me to lay a price, I'd lay 55 to 45. 55 we do, 45 we don't.
That's pretty high, Bubba. I mean, when it comes to war, is that what's going on in this market? Is that what people are puking out here?
No, I don't think so. I think they're puking out because we started to see some selling, and selling begets more selling. And of course, I think if you look at Bitcoin, remember, what do people do when they start to see? If you own Palantir, okay, it was just 190, it's 125 now. If you own that and you want to hold it and you leveraged it, well, now you're selling your gold, you're selling your Bitcoin, you're selling everything else to pay for it. Okay, right. This is the biggest problem that 99% of the trading world has no clue about. You cannot over leverage because it's great when it's going in your favor, but as soon as it goes against you, then the multiples are ridiculous and you end up forcing yourself out because you're not comfortable with the position. So all back to trading psychology. To me, this has nothing to do with really what's going on in Iran. I mean, if it was something to go with Iran, oil wouldn't be down on $1.74 today.
I was getting ready to ask you about that. This reminds me of that girl at FTX who said, why do I need to put stop limits in, right? It seems like this was like, as I always call the heat-seeking missiles that went to all the limits and blew out through the stop saw and crushed all the liquidity. Is that what's happening here too?
I think so. I think that's a good point, and I think it's valid. Look, we get to these positions, okay, that again, you have a lot of selling, but if you look at the overall volume, the volume isn't all that heavy. So we're seeing basically a lot of people step away. It's kind of like when we were on the trading floor, Big B. If we didn't want to be involved in the market, now you're duly bound if you're standing in the pit to have to make a market. If you didn't want to make a market, you walked out of the pit, okay? And I think a lot of guys don't want to make markets right now. I think there is fear on both sides right now. And of course, the specialists or the market makers don't want to get stuck. So you see the bid offer wider than ever. Look at the VIX. The VIX popped up to 22. You and I talked about that on Tuesday, and I said, I think we're going to pop over 20. Here we are. So again, there's a little bit of fear out there. And when the market starts to widen out, I mean, even gold. When have you seen gold trade in a dollar wide bid offer spread?
It's been a long time.
I mean, so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing more fear, but the volume has not picked up yet. That the final curtain of this particular sell-up that we're in right now will have to come on heavy volume. Until we get
that news coming in now, Trump says he prevented multiple nuclear conflicts and calls for a new modern nuclear treaty to replace the badly negotiated New START. He just said that on Truth Social. I think he's talking about the Russian START treaties with I think he's a little off his skis on this one. And as we talk here, Bank of Canada's Macklin now says, Bank of Governor Canada says, economic weakness is structural, warning that cutting rates too much could fuel the future inflation, adding that more stimulus would be possible if weakness were purely cyclical, and that risks to the outlook exists on both sides. So looks like Bank of Canada's Macklin now saying he's not going to cut rates.
I hope not. The Federal Reserve, the central banking system, is a total cabal. Okay, they're totally a cartel. There is no reason to cut rates. Okay, again, we go back to the free markets will tell you what any asset is worth. You put your product on your wish list. You're willing to pay a certain price for it. The market should be the same thing. It should not be controlled by a Federal Reserve or a central banking system, because it really just devalues overall currency, and our dollars are buying less, interest rates are not. And the bottom line is, I say this every time, the interest rates cuts have not helped the individual. It's helped the banks. They're making a lot more money and they're getting paid not to lend you money, but it has not helped the system. So again, I hope
that we went from 4.28 now to 4.208 on the 10-year. It's dropping because people are putting money back in the bond market. They're getting smart about things, and 60-40 again, right?
Yeah. So look, again, they have to stop this trying to control an economy. You have to, the whole theory of capitalism is the bad companies, the bad businesses go out of business, somebody new comes and replaces them. You can't fix it. And to let businesses get too big to fail was one of the worst things ever. Okay. Because nobody should be too big to fail. It doesn't matter. And I think that you go back to 2008, the banks that were in real trouble, they should let them bust out. New banks would have taken their place. And you want to bail out somebody, you bail out the depositors, not the banks.
And that's why the FDIC is in place for that. All right, Bubba. Well, I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Hopefully the world will be a little bit better place, more calmer. And I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday, my man.
Thanks, Big B. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Everybody enjoy the Super Bowl.